The Awakening. It was an ordinary day in a small village in southeastern Nigeria. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the land. The hum of crickets and distant chatter filled the air. But for Amina, a young woman with big dreams of becoming a lawyer, this day was anything but ordinary. She had just received an urgent call from her older brother, Chijioke, a journalist based in Abuja. Amina, turn on the TV. Something big is happening. Nnamdi Kanu. They've moved him again. Amina's heart raced. Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, had long been a symbol of resistance to the Nigerian government. His outspoken calls for the independence of Biafra had earned him both admiration and disdain. But now, rumors were swirling that the government wanted to silence him for good. The prison cell. In the dark, damp cell deep within the Nigerian prison system, Nnamdi Kanu sat alone, his thoughts swirling. The walls were closing in. He had already been subjected to years of abuse, his health deteriorating, his family in peril. But what hurt the most was the sense of abandonment from those who had once been his supporters. The government had done everything in their power to break his spirit, to tarnish his reputation, and to extinguish the flames of the movement for Biafran independence. The heavy footsteps of a guard echoed down the corridor, breaking the silence. "You again," Kanu said, his voice hoarse but defiant. The guard unlocked the door, throwing in a tray of food that looked more like a punishment than sustenance. "Eat. You don't know how much longer you have." Kanu's eyes narrowed. He'd heard the whispers. They were going to kill him. Not in the direct sense, but through neglect, starvation, or worse, an accidental death. His life was no longer his own. It was a pawn in a larger political game.
Scene 3. The protest. Back in the village, Amina watched the news unfold. Thousands of people were now gathering in the streets across Nigeria, calling for Kanu's release. There were banners, placards, and chants that filled the air. "Free Nnamdi Kanu," they shouted, their voices unified in a plea for justice. But in the heart of the protest, Amina could see the fear in people's eyes. The Nigerian government had already begun using military force to silence dissent. Amina's brother, Chijioke, had been covering the protests for days. He had already received threats, but his resolve was stronger than ever. "They want to kill him, Amina. They want to erase everything he stood for. They'll do whatever it takes," Chijioke had told her earlier. Scene 4. The rebellion. In the shadows, there was another group, an underground movement led by young, passionate Biafran youths. They had seen how Kanu's influence had awakened a sense of identity and pride in their people. But now, it seemed as if the Nigerian government was prepared to do anything to crush that spirit. "We cannot let them erase him," a young man named Ugochi said during a secret meeting. His eyes burned with an intensity that mirrored the fight in Kanu's heart. "If they kill him, they will kill our cause. We will rise, not in silence, but in fire." Amina knew she had to do something. It was no longer just about her family or her dreams of becoming a lawyer, it was about standing up for what was right. Her people needed to be heard. The government had already done enough. It was time for the truth to come to light. Scene 5. The final struggle. The international community had begun to take notice. Human rights organizations were calling for Kanu's immediate release. The pressure on the Nigerian government was mounting. But instead of backing down, they only tightened their grip. Late one night, Amina received a text from Chijioke, "They're going to do it tonight. They've given him a medical emergency status, but it's just a cover-up. They'll kill him in there." Amina was frozen with fear, but something inside her snapped. The world could no longer turn a blind eye to the injustice happening. She quickly gathered a group of activists and lawyers who had been tracking Kanu's case. They decided to bring his story to the world. Scene 6. The broadcast. As the dawn broke, Amina stood in front of a camera, a look of determination etched on her face. She was about to broadcast a message that would echo around the world. "We are calling on the international community, on every human rights activist, on every person who believes in justice, to stand with us. The Nigerian government has made it clear that they are willing to kill Nnamdi Kanu. They want to silence him forever. But we will not be silenced. We will not be ignored." The broadcast spread like wildfire. Social media erupted, and people across the globe started to demand justice. What started as a small protest in southeastern Nigeria had grown into an international movement. Scene 7. The confrontation. Hours later, in the prison, Kanu was escorted to a medical facility under heavy guard. His health had deteriorated to the point that even the government could no longer hide the toll they had taken on his body. But there was a fire in his eyes, a refusal to go down without a fight. As he lay in a hospital bed, a doctor walked in and whispered, "They're going to kill you, Kanu. The whole world is watching, but it doesn't matter to them. You mean nothing to them." Kanu closed his eyes, but deep inside, he knew something had changed. The world was waking up. Scene 8. The aftermath. Days later, the Nigerian government was forced to make a statement. Under mounting pressure, they announced that Kanu had been moved to a safer facility due to his worsening health. But Amina knew the truth. They hadn't killed him yet, but they were still trying to erase him. The movement for Biafran independence would not die with Nnamdi Kanu. His voice, his struggle, had sparked something much bigger than just one man's fight. The flames of resistance were burning brighter than ever. And even if the Nigerian government tried to kill him, it was too late. His legacy was already etched in the hearts and minds of those who believed in freedom. Closing scene. As Amina watched the protests continue in the streets, she couldn't help but think of her brother, her community, and the thousands of people who had risked everything to stand for justice. The struggle wasn't over, but the world now knew the truth. And they would not be silenced.